And ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Clovercrest Media presents Keys to the City. If you haven't got a chance to check out our show so far, you can check us out later on Spotify, YouTube as well. You can subscribe, click on it, check us out, as well as Facebook, Keys to the City, Instagram, Twitter, Keys to the City. Ladies and gentlemen, we are closing up shop with college football. As usual, we're going to be having the big old Kanish calling in, then probably within the next 30 seconds. I'm on speed dial with him right now. But like I said, college football we're going to talk about. Has it been bland? We'll close out with that. But I actually want to start with Ted's Florida Gators. And Ted, you picked against them last week. I'm curious if you're going to pick against them in a few minutes against LSU. But one of the main questions is, are the Florida Gators for real? And this defense has been spectacular.
Number one scoring defense in the country.
Joe Burrow.
They've only given up 4 passing touchdowns all season.
We're going to see how serious Joe Burrow really is this year.
This is a Heisman. Yes. I said it to you last night before we went to bed. I said, this is the biggest weekend of college football so far this entire season. Without a question of doubt.
And we said a couple weeks ago.
This really is. You got the Red River Shootout.
Yes.
The winner of that game is going to be the front runner for the big
River rivalry now.
I don't care.
It's not the shootout anymore.
I'll say what I want to say, okay?
Say it with your chest.
Say it with conviction, boy. You got Jalen Hurts versus Sam Ehlinger, okay? You got with that game. Texas, Oklahoma, the rivalry.
That's the best. It's one of the best games all year.
Okay?
It's a classic all year.
Then you got the Florida Gators going down to Baton Rouge.
Death Valley, baby.
Death Valley's night game. We know LSU night game.
8 o'clock.
Crazy, wild. Joe Burrow, Heisman candidacy.
This is a top. Is he calling? There he is.
We got the Chaz.
And here we go. We got the Kanish.
He is calling in. He is on with the keys.
Big old
boy.
Kanish, you are live with Keys to the City in a huge week of college football.
Best weekend of college football so far this coming weekend.
Quick one of my questions, and we're going to talk about it after the call, is, to you, Chaz, has college football been bland this year?
No, I think it's just. I think it's hard because the media continuously, has given Clemson, Alabama almost like it's a birthright. I've actually thought it's been really exciting. I think the problem that the media is really focusing on the same storylines, right? It's Alabama, Clemson. That'll be the national championship matchup, and let's debate whether or not Jim Harbaugh is overrated or underrated. So I think it's the problem that people just haven't appreciated a lot of great football out there. I think people should be talking about how great Lincoln Riley's offenses are. That he took Baker Mayfield, Murray, and now he's got Jalen Hurts is probably the leader for the Heisman. It's just people have to focus on this on different things. I think this college football season has become incredibly exciting.
So you would blame the media because of everything, with them hyping up Clemson coming into the year. This is going to be the greatest team ever, and Alabama. You think it's all because of the media that it's been kind of like so far?
It's the same stories. You turn on ESPN, you turn on Fox, they're talking about the same things. Jim Harbaugh, Clemson, and Alabama. Why are they not talking about the fact that Clemson does not even belong in the college football playoff right now? I mean, there's so many. I mean, people are completely underrating Ohio State. I mean, it's incredible.
No, you're right. That's why I said this weekend's the biggest weekend in college football because, we're going to get into it. You got Florida, LSU, both teams undefeated. You got Oklahoma, Texas. First of all, you got the rivalry in itself. Then you got an undefeated Oklahoma team versus a one-loss Texas team. If Texas loses, they're out for the playoffs.
And how serious is Penn State?
Yeah, then you got Penn State, Iowa. And it's at Iowa. It's a tough place. Kirk Ferentz, very well-coached team every year. Mm-hmm. You got Michigan State at Wisconsin.
Alabama at Texas A&M.
So then you have the Notre Dame USC rivalry. I know it's not a big game because USC isn't ranked, but historically it's a big rivalry game, and Notre Dame needs to continue to win and build their resume for the end of the season, and hoping that other teams like Oklahoma and Florida and LSU find ways as the loss. And that's why this weekend is very important. And I think this is a big weekend for the Pac-12 in Oregon because they need to start seeing some of these undefeated teams start losing games because they're not going to be able to pad their resume so much more.
So what they're
these SEC
so what they're rooting for, they could root for either
they want dysfunction.
They could, yeah, of course. Pac-12 is in deep trouble, but they need a big week this week. So let's start off with this big week. I know Ted said a bunch of games on the slate, but we have 3 major games, 3 games that have playoff implications. We're going to start off in the Big Ten. the Penn State Nittany Lions have been so impressive this year, and a team that has not been talked about all season.
But they haven't played anyone either.
And neither has Iowa. And we saw last week against that Michigan defense, 10-3. I don't even think they got 100 yards of offense. It seemed like they were abysmal. But it's in Iowa, and it's in one of the coolest venues, and they have one of the coolest traditions in all of sports, with a hospital right above and everybody's waving. It's the coolest thing. If you haven't seen it, check it out.
End of the first quarter.
It's awesome. It's one of the greatest things in all sports. But does Penn State, how serious do we take Penn State? Do they go in and beat a competitive Iowa team as well?
Everybody was dogging on my fighting khakis last weekend, but all they did was expose Iowa last weekend. Sure, their offense looked unstoppable against Middle Tennessee and Rutgers, but it struggled mightily against Iowa State and, of course, Michigan. Nate Stanley struggled against that Michigan pass rush, throwing for 3 interceptions, and now he's going up against the Nittany Lion defense that leads the nation in sacks and tackles for a loss. Penn State has won 5 straight in the series, and their winning streak will continue at Kinnick Stadium. I'm rolling with Penn State minus the 3.5.
That's not a bad. That's
3.5.
That's not a bad. But you know why? Because they're giving Iowa the respect at home, and Kirk Ferentz, well-coached team.
See, this is a toss-up. You could go either one for the main game, but we'll start with the Red Rivalry, as they call it now. It used to be the shootout, but this is always, to me, one of the best games in all of college football, one of the most exciting games in all of college football.
Always has been.
It always has been. Gus Johnson, Joe Klatt will probably be on the call tomorrow. I'm going to love it. So who do you got? Jalen Hurts, Sam Ehlinger. How serious do we take Texas? And how serious do we take Oklahoma?
This is a huge spread.
Do you expect it to be a shootout like last year's game-winning field goal, where I think it was 45-42 Texas last year?
Huge spread for this game. 10.5.
Really?
Oklahoma's favored by almost 11 points. Chaz, is that what you have?
What do we got? What do we got with this game with you?
Guys, Texas shocked Oklahoma last year in Dallas before the Sooners enacted revenge on the Longhorns in the Big 12 championship game en route to a playoff berth. So far, the Sooners' offense led by Jalen Hurts has looked unstoppable. But let's take a closer examination of who they beat. Texas Tech, Houston, South Dakota, Kansas, and UCLA. Not exactly a gauntlet. The Sooners will face adversity for the first time all season. They say Texas is a blend of valor and swagger, and Ehlinger certainly has plenty of it. But despite making some key big plays to keep this game close, Lincoln Riley's team will leave Big D with a hard-fought win. But I'm grabbing the 10.5, thinking this is a one-possession game.
You got Texas with the point. You got Texas.
He likes Texas with the points. Very good. That's a high spread in this type of rivalry. And, you know, it's
10.5 for a top 12 matchup. That's crazy.
I think that shows a lack of respect for Texas.
Yep, and everybody's all on the Jalen Hurts train right now. Everybody's high on Oklahoma. I think we got to really see how good Oklahoma is after you just said they haven't really played anybody as well. So we'll get to see a true test. Speaking of a true test, Florida, LSU. Florida wins the big win last week against Auburn. How for real are they? Going into Death Valley, and then Joe Burrow. We already seen him play against Texas, one of the Heisman candidates, favorites right now. But he's playing against one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in college football right now. Do we get to see the real Joe Burrow?
LSU, hold on. LSU is favored, from what I'm looking at, they are favored by 13.5 points. So almost 2 touchdowns.
See, that's ridiculous. I think that's ridiculous. Chaz, do you think differently?
Guys, everyone is crowing about LSU's newfound offense. I will give them credit for finally stepping outside of the Stone Age, but let's stop comparing them to the greatest show on turf. They haven't faced a defense yet this year. Joe Burrow mania will come to a screeching halt on Saturday night in Death Valley. The Gators defense leads the nation in takeaways and has the best pass rush in the SEC. The Tigers offense will be held in check, but so will the Gators offense. Kyle Trask suffered a slight knee injury against Auburn, and I expect him to struggle against a stout LSU defensive front. There will be times when LSU threatens to pull away, but keep calm and chomp on. Give me the 13.5.
I like it. I like it, man. He was right last week with the Gators.
I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you so much.
Guys, I'm going to give you my last bold prediction before I go.
Give me a bold prediction for this week.
the USC and Notre Dame, both teams will be looking for new coaches. Urban Meyer to Notre Dame. Brian Kelly to the NFL.
Wow.
Oh, I like that.
Okay.
And that's funny you say that because Urban Meyer's original first team, he's always wanted to coach with Notre Dame.
Chaz, thank you for the take. I appreciate that, buddy. And thank you for your picks. Good luck.
We'll see you guys.
See you, big guy. Wow. So Brian Kelly, NFL. Urban Meyer, next Notre Dame coach. Okay. We'll remember that. So let's get into those games. The first one, Penn State. They've been dominating, taking care of business. TCB, as Ted just found out what that stands for. Iowa looked abysmal last week, going into the big house, as we know. Only scoring 3 points, and it seemed like every time they had the ball, they were either punting or turning the ball over last week. What are we going to get to see from Iowa at home? They're a different team at home. We've seen it before. They're lights out. They're wearing the all-yellow uniforms this week. Does Penn State come in and stay in contention for one of the surprising teams of the college football season right now? One of the teams that haven't got a lot of respect. But can Penn State continue this hot streak right now and going into Iowa and beating a tough Iowa team at home, though?
Doesn't this game
have the feel of a low-scoring game?
But doesn't it feel like upset? Because I would consider this an upset. I know it's 17 versus 10. Penn State's been dominant, but they haven't played anyone. They played the likes of Buffalo, Idaho, Pittsburgh.
What are you talking about? Those are barn burners. Those are great teams.
They played Maryland. They beat them up 59-0. And I looked at that team, and I'm like, wow, this team looks good. But they really haven't played anyone stout. And we know what Iowa does. Every year, they knock someone off. Remember a couple years ago when Michigan was undefeated? They beat them with a late.
Remember when they beat Ohio State, too? They killed Ohio State.
Ohio State last year.
They have these games that they come in and they take care of business.
And I worry, is Penn State ready to play? Because this is going to be their toughest test of the season.
They have had no respect all year. I know they have. Not a lot of teams have played a lot of good competition,
different team.
I mean, we just said it.
Iowa, home, night game, Kirk Ferentz team. They look like crap last week against Michigan.
They were abysmal.
Do they rebound and get back to where they?
I think they come in hungry.
This is gonna be a tricky game. I think Penn State is more talented. They'll end up pulling away, but I look at a close game. Penn State wins 20-17 in Iowa.
See, these are the games I always look at,
and sets up the matchup against Michigan on October 19th at home.
These are always the games I look at with James Franklin because I think James Franklin is a good coach.
Is he going to be a great coach?
He's an underappreciated coach, but I've seen in moments like this, in games like this, where he's come up short and he's made bad adjustments and he's costed his team because of play calling. This is a game that I have to see James Franklin take that next step to being one of those elite coaches because he is a good coach. James Franklin is one of the best coaches but do you want to be that Dabo? Do you want to be Saban? Do you want to be up in that upper echelon of coaches? I'm going to go with the Nittany Lions. I'm going to go with the Lions.
I went too.
I'm going to go with the Lions.
This is a tricky game.
They've been disrespected all year up until this point, and they're finally going to play a pretty decent team at home. We know how Iowa is, and they have those games, like I said. But this Lions team is pretty serious. They're legit. They have a dominant defense. I think they're going to rally around their teammate that's been getting criticized by that. Did you hear about that story?
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I think
don't even need to talk about it.
I know. I think they're going to rally behind. I think they're going to come in. I think they're going to beat Iowa. I think Iowa's going to come back and get out of the top 25 after this week, and we're really going to see Iowa as just like a 7 or 8 win team this year. I got the Lions continue this hot streak and stay undefeated.
What do you got for scorebook? Close game or no?
I'll go 30-17.
Wow, a lot of points by Penn State.
Yeah, I got. I mean, that's not a lot, but I'll win. I think they cover, and I think they win comfortably as well too. Let's get over to like I said, this could have been the main game we talked about this week, but there's another big one in the SEC, and we all know the SEC gets all the credit. But maybe the best game for the past couple of years it seems like Jalen Hurts, Sam Ehlinger, Lincoln Riley versus Tom Herman. Two great offensive-minded coaches.
This is the Super Bowl for the Big 12 because...
Oh, yeah, we already know. This will be the Big 12 matchup title game, too.
It's going to set Jalen Hurts either for the Heisman candidacy or not. Mm-hmm. Second of all, Oklahoma doesn't play another ranked team all season unless Baylor... Baylor right now is ranked in the top 25.
Good for Baylor.
They're 22nd.
Good for them.
But if Baylor loses, they're going to fall in the top 25. And Oklahoma's not going to be able to pad their resume with another solid victory all season because no one's going to be ranked. So this is a super important game because Texas, if they lose, they're out for the season.
Yeah,
they're pointless.
Is Oklahoma done, though, if they lose? That's the real question. If Texas, we already know. If they lose, they're done.
But if last year, no.
But if Oklahoma loses to Texas, are they done?
I'm going to say...
Knowing that you have teams like
I am going to say yes, because if their one loss is to Texas and Notre Dame's one loss is to Georgia, how are you going to rate those two teams? What's going to be a better loss? I think the Notre Dame loss at Georgia is going to be a better loss than a neutral site rivalry game.
I'm also saying it because of.
Also,
I'm already putting Clemson in the college football.
You're putting
Alabama. There's going to be one SEC team. I'm going to pick Alabama. I think Georgia can still, because their one loss, if they do lose, if it's the Alabama in the SEC championship, I mean, that's not a bad loss to have.
And Ohio
State, if Ohio State loses, then it gets a little more tricky. But I don't see Ohio State losing. I think Ohio State's going to run the table. They got to hope that these teams, if Oklahoma loses, I'm agree with you. I think they're done out of the college football playoff.
Oklahoma needs this game because
both teams need it.
And this is great. I mean,
it's great for the sport.
The matchup, there's already some trash talking going on.
Yeah, they don't like each other. I love it. It's a noon game. Yeah, I'll be
always
watching.
Is. You got the Texas State fear there.
It's huge.
I mean,
all fried food.
This would be a game I would love to go to.
This is a fair you would love to go to.
Oh, yeah.
All the fried food.
But I wouldn't want to have the fair on the day of the game.
No, I know.
I think a high-scoring game. We've seen both defenses have a lot of flaws. Oklahoma really hasn't played anyone to stretch them.
Neither one has.
And Texas hasn't.
Other than LSU.
And Texas really hasn't played well. They had a tough game last week at Morgan, West Virginia.
Oh, okay.
Morgantown, West Virginia.
Yeah. It's like Morgan. They're like 3-3.
I think.
What do we got?
45-38 Oklahoma.
I have 42-38 Oklahoma. I think this is going to be, like I said, one of the best games of the entire football season.
I expect that too.
I think Ellinger and Jalen Hurts are going to go back and forth, throwing for touchdowns, rushing for touchdowns, big plays in this game, home runs, a lot of home runs. You'll be hearing the gunshot off. You'll be hearing a lot of celebrations. You'll be seeing a lot of fun. It's going to be a great game. If not a lot of people watch this game, you really should tune into it, because it's just the atmosphere. Everything about this game is just fun. Half the crowd's red, half the crowd's orange. It's awesome. It's freaking awesome if you're a college football
some of the best players in the last couple of years.
This would be one of the games that down the road, me and you, I would love to go.
Yeah. I mean, Baker Mayfield, Kyle Murray, Sam Bradford, Adrian Peterson. I remember when Chris Sims.
What are you doing, all Oklahoma players?
Well,
Texas. What about Vince Young?
Michael
Hunt, Colt McCoy,
Chris Sims.
You have so many back in the day,
Derek
too.
Johnson. I mean, think about some of the old games. I mean, I remember. I'm trying to think. Who was the safety that played for Dallas Cowboys?
Roy Williams,
when he dove over and sacked Chris Sims, safety. Those were the big. Mac Brown
This game is
Bob
always,
Stoops.
This game
Lincoln
always
Riley.
comes down to the wire.
And think about this: two young, great coaches too.
I said that. Great offensive-minded coaches.
Lincoln Riley versus.
But we're both with the Sooners. Lincoln Riley with Tom Herman. But we're going both with the Sooners. Close games. Let's close out with Ted's Gators. And we asked this question: are they for real, Ted? This will be a telling sign. Yes, they were home last week and they beat a top 10 team in Auburn, but they were playing a freshman quarterback, and once again, they were home. What did you expect? I want to see if they could go into LSU. They win in Death Valley, where not a lot of teams do. If they can do that, then this Florida team is legit.
Yeah, this one's going to be a tough one.
Of course.
As a Gator, I mean, so Trask had a little knee injury last week. I don't know if you saw the hit. It was a cheap hit, but the kid afterwards went up to him.
Yeah.
And, apologized and shook his hand. What a class act after. He kind of got pushed, but he kind of dove into the guy's knees, and it was one of those low, bad hits. Kind of like the Brady hit back in the day.
Yep.
So, listen, I don't know if he's going to be full strength or, healthy, 100%, whatever you want to say.
What are you hoping to see from this Florida team? I know defensively, you know what they're going to do.
This is going to be a tough one. I mean, LSU's defense is stout. We know what it's like to play at LSU at night. Listen, most teams don't go into LSU at night and beat them. It just doesn't happen. There's a different atmosphere in Baton Rouge nighttime games compared to daytime games. They also have a veteran quarterback, Joe Burrow. He's been playing like one of the top Heisman candidates. He's got 22 passing touchdowns, 3 interceptions. It feels like he throws for 4 touchdowns a game, every game. The Gators have only given up 4 passing touchdowns all season. So you got the number one scorer in defense versus number one scorer in offense. I know Florida's going to play hard, and they're going to keep this game close.
I think you should.
But the problem is, At the end of the day, the offense is not going to be able to do enough with the quarterback they have, and the defenses end up going to get worn down. And I think LSU in the fourth quarter ends up pulling away and ends up winning 27-17 over the Gators. And it's the quarterback. It always comes down to the quarterback. We talk about it in every time.
You just said the number
Joe
one.
Burrow is a Heisman quarterback, and he will make the right play. And I don't trust the kid Trask yet at this point or another against LSU at night.
So you said they're the number one offense, right?
Yes.
Against the number one defense.
Yes.
Every time that happens.
This is not the NFL.
I don't care.
It's not the NFL. It's a different game. And college kids, 18 to 20-year-old kids at 8 o'clock at night. Listen.
You picked against Florida last week. I picked Florida last week. You picked Florida against Florida this week. I'm picking Florida to go into Death Valley and win 17-13. I buy into this defense. If you have a defense, I don't care if it's the NFL or if it's high school or if it's Pee Wee football. If you have a dominant defense, you will always have a chance in this game.
You always have a chance. I said they'll have a chance.
For 60 minutes, you will always have a chance. I know what
you're saying. But if you're on the field for a lot of times, your team's going 3-0 and you're always behind the 8 ball.
What's the matter? I can't argue with you. No, I was going to get to that.
All right.
You're 100% right.
Oh, thank you.
If your offense comes in.
Yes, sir.
And they're having 3 and outs, punting the ball a lot, and not sustaining any offense and keeping on the field and giving your defense a rest, and your defense is doing the job the whole game, then yes, they're going to get tired out, and LSU is going to take advantage of it. The offense of Florida, it all comes down to, we've been talking about this for years about Florida. For Florida to be successful, it's got to come down to the offense, making plays, play action. Don't do anything crazy if you don't need to. Run the football. I know this defense is nasty. But play action, set them up, catch them off guard, get your players into space, jet sweeps, bubble screens, little things like that. Get your playmakers the ball. If Florida can do that defensively, special teams.
Urban Meyer, that's what he was great at, special teams.
If they can cause turnovers, you just said they haven't given up 4 touchdowns all season. Joe Burrow has been dominant all year.
This is DBU versus DBU.
This is what I'm trying to say. If Florida's offense can sustain anything for a drive, they might get the edge in this game. That's all it comes down to. But I'm going to stick with the Gators just like I did last week, and you picked against them. Maybe it's a sign of things to come, and they won last week.
Hopefully.
We don't know. But I'm going to roll with the Gators. I do not expect them to be a blowout. I expect it to be 17-13. Low-scoring game, defensive battle. And it's going to be a fun one, too. 8 o'clock, that place will be rocking.
Won't be watching.
We'll see how real Florida is, though. We'll see how real LSU and Florida are.
Because for LSU, this is their first real test of the season. Well, no,
Texas.
It's Texas.
They're Texas.
But defensively.
Yeah. Defensively, they don't.
Texas doesn't have to do.
Offensively, they'll have a test. This will be a test.
Well, and here's the thing: there's no rivalry between Texas and LSU. These two teams don't like each other.
They have a history.
I mean, they have a history. Remember the games that had to get played in Florida and was supposed to be LSU?
Yeah, they don't
Florida
like each
beat
other.
LSU last year, and they put the hurting on them last year.
Don't like
they
them.
were talking about already when the Gators kind of ran it up a little bit on LSU last year. So LSU's looking for a payback.
They don't like them.
So this should be a great game.
Last question I asked Chaz. Do you think the college football season has been bland?
For me, it has. There hasn't really been anything exciting. Now, maybe that's because I'm working every Saturday, and I'm not really sitting there watching every college football.
Do you think Chaz is right about that? The media has made it bland because of the storylines.
I'm not going to blame the media. I just don't think there's a major storyline. I mean, there is. I mean,
it's the same storylines.
Yes.
Is that why he's right about that?
You know, Jalen Hurts has been dominant with Lincoln Riley. That's a huge storyline. You know, Alabama really hasn't been tested. Neither Clemson has, but, you know, Sunshine hasn't looked the same.
Sunshine.
I call him Sunshine. It looks like Sunshine. You know, Trevor Lawrence hasn't looked the same. I mean,
Trevor has not looked good.
This is why I said this weekend, because this is when the rivalries and the games start picking up. And this is, like we talked about, September's kind of like...
Week 7.
September's like the preseason. You're just trying to find your mojo.
Week 7 now, man.
So now you start to find out who the real teams are.
You only got about 5 or 6 weeks left.
No, you got more.
Well, it's week 7.
You got till Thanksgiving.
So that's like 5 or 6 weeks.
It's about 7 weeks. That doesn't
14
matter.
games?
At the end of the day, you're going to find out who these teams are coming forward.
I'm just waiting for that moment. I think this weekend could really be the spark that college football's been looking for. Like you said, big games, national championship implication games, and you can have shootouts. You can have big points. You got to have great defenses playing. It all comes down to this weekend. This is a big weekend for college football. If the games pan out, then maybe we won't be talking about college football being bland. But we need different storylines. I think Chaz hit it right on right on the nail as well. The media has been dominated because of the storylines. Same thing. Clemson, Alabama, Jim Harbaugh. It seems like that's all we're talking about. More storylines. The media. What else is new? Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't checked out our show, you can check us out on Spotify, YouTube, and you can go follow us at Keys to the City for Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter as well. Everybody have a great weekend. Enjoy the great football games. Enjoy the Yankees and Astros. NLCS to all the Cardinals and Braves, or Cardinals and National fans as well. We'll be discussing it all next week. Soon we'll be talking NBA as well, because NBA is right around the corner as well. And enjoy the college football games. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next week. We are Keys to the City. We are out.
Yeah. Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know you really viewing greatness in the making. Double up on facts we stating. Podcasting, cruise control, city, state, the nation. So what you saying, what we saying, prime information. Facts, keys to the city, we unlocking the statements.
Streaming every Friday.